Mercy and forgiveness are the emotional building blocks used to make Avatar: The Last Airbender a cartoon unlike any other. You see, Avatar is a show that time and time again pulls at your very heart, and honestly both breaks you down and remakes you into something better. It touches on themes that are both serious and hilarious at the same time. It's like I've always said, Avatar: The Last Airbender is a work of literary perfection, and that can easily be seen over and over again in the series through its use of mercy and forgiveness. Because while it is common for shows to display forgiveness and mercy between friends and foes, Avatar at times tends to use it in a more extreme way, sometimes displaying what one act of misplaced mercy can actually do to an entire world. Because if not for Avatar Roku's compassionate mercy towards his once best friend Sozin all those years ago, the 100-year-long war wouldn't have ever begun. This moment chronologically became Avatar's first display of mercy. And it wasn't in any way a good thing, because this moment also marks potentially the biggest and most devastating mistake ever made by an Avatar. Because that one moment of misplaced mercy led to the deaths and enslavement of millions. But while this use of mercy and forgiveness may have been one of the worst and most impactful in the series, it is by far from the last. Because take everyone's favourite hothead for an example. He went through one of the greatest character arcs ever written in a search for both a place to belong and a reason to forgive himself. You see, Zuko's search for forgiveness began even as a child, when he insulted his dad's plans and was forced into an Agni Kai against him. You see, it is here that he fell to his knees and begged his dad for forgiveness. This plea would soon be ignored and he would be forever left with a mark as a reminder of what he perceived as weakness. This moment would also change his perception completely, as he would begin to see asking for help or begging for mercy as a form of weakness. Something his uncle Iroh did try desperately to fix within the young firebender, but was met with nothing but constant backlash. It wouldn't be until the end of the second season that we would begin to see a change in Zuko as a character, as he returned Appa to Aang and displayed vulnerability towards Katara, even displaying his personal acceptance and growth by considering removing his mark with the healing water. Because for Zuko, that mark carries with it a weight of all his past traumas and is a constant reminder that to his father, he is still a worthless and weak child. But almost like an attempt at foreshadowing, his refusal to heal his scar would soon lead to him joining forces with his sister and betraying everyone around him, showcasing that while he has grown quite a bit, he is still far from healed from all the traumas of his past. Now it wouldn't be until the final season that he finally reaches that level of acceptance of his past that would allow him to forgive himself. You see, he finally realized that all this time it wasn't honor or power that he desired. It was something much more simple. Something that he should have had unconditionally from the very beginning. It was the acceptance of his own dad. But while he learned that he would never get this from him, he already had it and much more from the uncle and father figure that was always around him, his uncle Iroh. Iroh saw him at his worst and not only accepted him for his failures but never stopped hoping he'd heal from them. But Zuko's journey of forgiveness didn't stop with just Iroh, as he still needed those he had hurt to forgive him also. He joined Team Avatar as Aang's teacher, but was still distrusted by the group. Toph would be the first to forgive him when he burnt her feet. Aang would soon follow when they learned firebending together. Sokka forgave him when he helped rescue Suki and Sokka's dad. But Katara, who he and the Fire Nation hurt the most, took by far the longest to accept him into the team. You see, this was because while Zuko was battling his demons, Katara was fighting and struggling against her own. You see, Katara was the last waterbender in their tribe. But when the Fire Nation attacked, her mother claimed herself as the last waterbender and was killed right before Katara's eyes as a result. This led to Katara growing up and blaming herself for her mother's death. 8 years later, Zuko helped her track down Yun-Ra, the man responsible for her mother's death. And in a massive display of anger and power, she turned the rain around her into ice spikes and threatened to kill Yun-Ra. But when he pleaded with her for his life, she let him live. Not out of any form of kindness, but out of her respect for herself. She couldn't allow someone so worthless to ruin who she has become. Because although in that moment she wanted nothing more than to avenge her mother, it would also mean disgracing herself and her mother's memory. This display of mercy is one of the most powerful in the entire series because it shows a level of growth within Katara that I don't think any other character in the series ever actually achieved. This moment between Zuko and Katara also led to her finally forgiving him for everything he had done and accepting him into the team. All that was left now for the young hothead was to seek the forgiveness of the only person who truly matters. The man who at one point was the only person he had by his side in the entire world. His uncle Iroh. You see, Zuko rejected Iroh's kindness and love countless times, betrayed him, abandoned him, all for a foolish sense of honor and loyalty towards a nation that never actually cared for him. Despite this, however, his uncle still took him back, forgiving and loving him unconditionally, like any true parent who actually cares for their child would.
How can you forgive me so easily? I thought you would be furious with me.
I was never angry with you. I was sad because I was afraid you lost your way.
I did lose my way.
But you found it again.
But now we must move on to the star of the show himself, Avatar Aang, the boy with the weight of the world on his shoulders. You see, Aang suffered with regret, loss, and self-doubt. He was a child who didn't have anyone or anywhere in the world to call home. His journey, while being one filled with fun adventures and friends, was one of responsibility and loneliness. Because throughout all of the fun times he had with his team, he always knew it was leading to a decision. A decision that only he could make, and one that wouldn't just affect him, but would also affect the world. The decision of what to do when the time comes to put down Ozai. Does he do as everyone tells him and kill Ozai? Or does he follow the teachings of Gyatso and the other monks and show the Fire Lord mercy? Well, whether you consider it fate or coincidence, the war that began all those years ago by an Avatar's misplaced mercy ended with Aang showing mercy to the Fire Lord in the final moments. He did not kill Ozai like everyone asked him to. He followed his air nomad beliefs and found a peaceful solution in removing Ozai's bending altogether. Because while Aang is the Avatar, the one responsible for the world's balance, he is still a peace-loving air nomad child who seeks hope, kindness, and forgiveness. You see, Aang not ending Ozai shows that he finally understands who he is and what his place in this world actually means. He is the last air nomad, the one responsible for carrying their beliefs and teachings into the future. You see, Avatar The Last Airbender teaches us that forgiveness is hard, and at times showing mercy to those that hurt you is borderline impossible. But by forgiving and showing mercy in those hard times, we grow and become better people as a result. Sure, it doesn't always work out and you might actually get hurt again as a result. But without attempting to do it in the first place, can you ever truly say that you've grown at all? But I don't know guys, I think that's going to do it for me in this video. If you've enjoyed and want to see more videos like this in the future, then you know what to do. Hit that like button and subscribe for more. We are getting very close to that 100k milestone and I would love for you to be a part of it. But with that, I'm out. Have a great rest of your day, and peace.